Yeah, right, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah, I remember now. I'd like to know where I'd be now if I'd taken that other job 20 years ago. Where would I be now if I'd gone further into school that way? Or if I got the job right out of high school like a lot of my friends did, where would I be now? Interesting to contemplate your different avenues of life. It's all a matter of two things, really, I think: chance and choice. Throughout our lives, we encounter a lot of points where we go a certain way based on chance, but we also go certain ways based on choice. Chance involves things like having to move with our parents at a certain age when we're growing up, for example. I had to leave my public school in the town where I was at the time and move out to the country and enter another public school, even though it was only for 4 or 5 months of the remaining year. So I had to find a whole new set of friends to be with, which was intimidating for me, as I was a shy person to begin with. But it also exposed me to a whole group of new people I'd never met before, so there's always positives and negatives about all these choices or chances that we meet in life. It's just interesting to sit around and think about it sometimes, even though you can't obviously go back in time and change things. They can inform choices or chances of the future, perhaps, that you make. Where would I be if, instead of going to school to study biology, what if I'd gone on to study art, which was another big interest of mine, heavy interest of mine? I really would have liked to have gone that way, but it didn't seem like the jobs were going to be there. But I still have a high interest in art, and but I decided to go the science route. As it turns out, that worked out fine. I had a great career in science, enjoyed working with the people I did work with on a range of topics, and I really have no regrets, other than I wish I could have done more art over the years. But I think back also to summer jobs I had and people I met, and funny little situations where if I hadn't spoken to someone, I wouldn't have gone to check out this career path or that interest. And you can remember all these little, it's like walking up a tree, I guess, where you meet several branches and you choose to go one way or the other, and that choice can send you on a whole different pathway for your life. And it's really quite mind-boggling when you start thinking about all the other things you could have done, different people you could have met. You could even end up with a different spouse if you think hard enough. And that's a conversation that can be a little dangerous. You probably want to do this on your own, like I'm doing it. Of course, if I post this to my channel, more people will hear about it, but I'm not doing this as any form of regret about anything, really. It's just, I think, a fun exercise to do, probably on your own when things are quiet, and you just think back to when all the time from being a kid in public school to going on to high school, choices you made, particularly after high school for most kids. Prior to that, the choices are made by the parents, but even they can be highly determinative, obviously, as to how you end up, whether your parents are moving you around a lot, like mine did quite a bit, or are you staying in one location for your entire growth period. But certainly after you get out of high school, that's the point where most people say, okay, am I going to work or am I going to go on to higher school, if you have the choice to go on to higher school or the ability, because not everyone does. And then from there on, choices you've made. Summer jobs, did they lead to full-time jobs? Did your first full-time job lead to another job in your field, or did you have to stop and then go on to look for another branch of interest? And you can see how the branches, sometimes they come back and meet, and you end up probably going the way you were going to go 10 years ago anyhow, but for a while they diverged apart, and maybe you were on a different stream in life as far as your jobs or your interests, and then maybe they converged back. Anyhow, I'd be interested to hear from anyone who sees this video whether they think they've ended up, I guess, going in a path that was almost predestined for them, or were there so many options and chances along the way that you would have had no prediction as to where you ended up in life. And I think probably that's the case for most people. There's, I guess, unless maybe you're born wealthy or you're born on a farm where you're going to remain for the rest of your life, there's probably not too many situations where you'd be able to tell when you're 10 years old the whole life path you're going to have. It's a lot of unpredictable things: schooling, jobs, partners, people you meet, people you fall in love with, that kind of thing. So anyhow, just an interesting exercise in mind games, I guess. You wonder whether you would have done better. Now, better is obviously a loaded term. Better in which way? I guess better in how happy you are day to day, or how much money you've made, although I don't suggest people rate their life as better depending on the money they made. Maybe something to contemplate on a cool gray day like we have here today. I don't know what your weather's like where you are. Maybe you're in Florida and you can go out and run on the beach, and I envy you if you can do that. Maybe you're in Hawaii climbing a volcano. Anyhow, hopefully we can get traveling again sometime soon and get back to seeing other parts of the world, which I've always enjoyed. So, take care. Think about your future pathways and pathways you've already taken, because sometimes the past can determine the future.